I have finally, after many weeks, finished putting these chairs together with these cheap and cheerful L-seat covers. That one all went together perfectly. I'm so pleased I spent the time de-rusting all of this and painting it properly. It took such a long time to get that painted and de-rusted, but we've done it. We've also painted these bits here, de-rusted them, painted them, same with the springs, every single little bolt washer. Everything is almost finished apart from this headrest here is just completely knackered and too far gone. Sometimes if these headrests are falling to pieces, you can just spray glue inside there, or even soak these with a glue solution, and as the glue dries it will stiffen again. But this one is just too far gone, and unfortunately I cannot bring myself to spend the 50 or 70 pounds, whatever it is, to get a new foam headrest. So just before I go down that route, I'm actually going to see if I can make my own. I mean, how hard can it possibly be to carve a bit of foam into a headrest shape and cut out the middle and all the rest of it? So I'm going to attempt to do that. I've been down to the foam shop and bought some firm foam. There's basically 3 types of foam you can buy: firm, soft and super soft. And I think for headrests you probably want to use firm foam. It's not necessarily to do with the density, that's just how many air pockets are in. So it's the firmness is something slightly different. So this is firm foam. It's not particularly cheap. This would cost £24 plus VAT unless you pay in cash, in which case you can get it a bit cheaper. But my plan is to carve this. So first of all, we're going to get ourselves a super sharp long blade to cut this foam, and then we're going to have a go at drawing around and carving out one of these headrests and see if it comes out. If it doesn't come out, we can always buy one from the SL shop or from SJS Car Styling in Germany or someone like that. It's also worth mentioning that I've taken the inside of this headrest to pieces because it is all pretty rusty, and I've put the other piece in a rust bath, and we'll just leave that there for several days while to de-rust, and we'll go over these with a Dremel tool and get all the rust off these. One thing you can't do is put the whole thing in a rust bath, because some of this alloy here reacts with the acid in the rust bath and will just get eaten away, just to let you know that. It just so happens that this block of foam I bought here is not far off being the right height and the right width, and I imagine that over years this has become a little bit squashed down. So what I'm going to do first is cut a slice off here that's going to give me about the right thickness. This piece of foam I'm starting with has got a height of 19 centimetres, a width of just over 33 centimetres. I'm going to start off by measuring a 14 centimetre line. That's about the width of this cushion here. I haven't got an exact one to measure it from, but I'm going to start cutting a 14 centimetre block off, and I'm going to measure all the way around here 14 centimetres so I get that absolutely straight. I've just gone along to Screwfix and bought a 25mm Magnuson snap-off knife. This comes with spare blades, so we should be able to not quite cut all the way through, unfortunately, but we should be able to get quite a smooth cut. Now, you can buy special foam cutting saws. They're about £250. And that would give you the smoothest cut, but I'm not about to spend £250 on a foam cutting saw, so I'm hoping I'm going to get a pretty accurate cut with a long blade like this. Obviously, if you have very sharp kitchen carving knives as well, you could cut the foam, but what you're trying to avoid is the blade dragging in the foam. This has to be a razor sharp blade to cut foam. Let's get cutting. We are starting off with a 14 by 19 by 28 centimetre block of firm foam. First cut we're going to do is shave this corner off. I'm consuming this, but every time I've got a triangle here, I'm actually going to draw all the way down on both sides, just so I make sure that when I'm cutting down, I'm not making a wave, I'm cutting nice and smoothly. So much easier with a foam saw. Okay, first triangle we cut off here was 2 by 2.5. This one is going to be 3 by 6. I'm making a careful note of these just in case I want to cut another one of these and make it exactly the same for the other head cushion. It helps having a long blade, obviously, and a sharp blade. But it also helps actually drawing the lines down, keeping your eye on it when you're doing it. Okay. Next up, we're going to cut a series of triangles off the corner here. The first one's going to be 5.5 this way, 3.7 centimeters that way, and then we'll cut another triangle off, and then we'll get rid of all the sharp edges. Next up, a 4x6 cut along here. I reckon these ears rise up about 4.5 centimeters, and therefore we're going to, and I think they go in about 9.5 centimeters, so we're going to have to cut angles like that to a depth of 4.5 centimeters. So we've measured a line going 4.5 centimeters all the way around, and then we're just going to measure 9.5 centimeters along there, and by hand draw a line to the top of there, like so. Got to do that by hand because it's actually on a curve and you can't use a ruler, but it's not that difficult to do by eye. So we've cut out a chunk 4.5 centimeters deep, and these bits here are 9.5 centimeters each. And now all we have to try and do is shape these bits around and going down like that. Starting to look a little bit like a head cushion. Now we're just going to take these triangles here and take them all the way down to there, so we're just going to be shaving a little bit deeper. Let's do it this way around, I think. Now I've just put what we've cut so far in here, and it's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but you know what? That has come out so much better than I thought it would. I mean, really, you'd be hard pushed at this stage to tell that wasn't a genuine cushion. Obviously, I still have to cut out a centre section which houses the metal bit that sits inside here. We're just currently derusting that, but I am pretty pleased with that. That first test fit was amazing. I did not expect things to come out that well. I'm just going to trim this sharp edge here that you can see. Just take a tiny little bit off. So I'm just peeling this back. Not drawing any lines for this. I'm just doing this by eye, which is probably a really bad idea. And we just need to basically smooth these edges off. You could try doing that with a knife, but I'm just going to show you how to make a little tool that does that a little bit easier. Now, although this looks pretty rough like this, once you put it in the leather case, headrest case here, it's quite a good fit. But what I'm going to show you just is if you want to smooth these rough edges out, there's 3 ways of doing it. First of all, we're just going to take a jar like this. We're just going to take this lid and we're going to bash some holes in it. Once you've bashed those in, you've got a nice rough surface on this side. Make sure you do it on a soft carpet or something. Don't do it with it when it's on the actual jar, otherwise the holes will be the wrong way around. And you can just use this to smooth out all of those rough edges, preferably without stabbing yourself in the hand like that. It does make a bit of a mess, so you've got to make sure that your wife is not in the house when you're doing this, otherwise she'll go crazy. Managed to stab myself in the finger with that sharp edge. Ouch. You can just, after you've gone over with the very rough jar top, you can go over with an orbital sander with a rough sandpaper, and that will get rid of all the baubles on there. You could also use an angle grinder as well. This angle grinder with a 60 grit disc gives you a super smooth finish, but it's not something you want to do inside, and ideally you want to be wearing a mask because you will get covered in a fine foamy powder. So if you had to guess which one of those headrests I just made up and which one was the original coconut matting one, you'd probably be hard pushed to do so. In actual fact, this one here is the one I've just made up, and in my humble opinion it's actually got a better shape than this one here, which is obviously going on for 50 years old. So I think possibly what we'll do is we'll make up another one of those and have them both the same. But that is how you save yourself a ton of money making up your own headrest for your SL. We bought our Magnuson 25mm snap-off knife for £8.99 off these guys here. We got our firm foam from these guys here in Bristol, and you'll probably pay somewhere between £10 and £20 for a piece of foam enough to do 2 of those head cushions.